What the heck did I just watch? Let's get this out of the way now. The trailer for Chronos Before the Ashes was tough and cryptic to figure out. This follows with something I mentioned for Gunfire beforehand, and that's their marketing. There's also going to be a big point that'll be tough for people to grip about this game, and that's the idea of Chronos Before the Ashes. The tagline of Before the Ashes may not be enough to tell people it's in the same universe, but that argument goes both ways. Many had no idea that Remnant fit into the Chronos universe. That's really the true shame of it. Remnant is such a different game, such a glow-up, as a buddy of mine would say, that it fits into such a different perspective of gamer and player. And for me, that's going to be the true shame of Chronos when it releases. That more people won't know what it's about, where it comes from, and how it falls into this world, into this universe, unless they look deep enough, that is. See, the trailer that was shown off at yesterday's PlayStation event is not the only one you have available to watch.
Tonight I speak to you the tale. Long past, world was different.
Gets me every time. Chronos originally debuted on Oculus VR, and if you ask me, after watching a playthrough of it, which was me quote-unquote watching it thanks to having to turn my head every 5 minutes or so thanks to the headaches that VR, even watching VR, can cause me, well, I can tell you the VR behind it was a bit of a gimmick, and it half being on the VR platform itself was realistically kind of a gimmick besides. This game didn't need to be there at all. But studios have to go where the money is, and they have to support who's giving them cash, so VR was the place they put Chronos, and I sorely wished it wasn't. I would have played this Zelda meets Dark Souls game over and over again if I had the ability to. I would have played it so often that the pixels would have burned out on the screen I had. I won't harp on this much longer, but I do have to get this out of my system. In some cases, in many cases, Gunfire Games, THQ Nordic, and Perfect World's marketing for this franchise could have shown how you don't do things to hype people for a project that you're working on. This is how you don't get people interested. By all accounts, almost no one should know about Remnant or Chronos, but word of mouth has literally saved this project. Then again, I'm only fueling that general idea by doing this video, aren't I? Well, this will be the last time that I harp on the marketing for this game because, quite frankly, it does get me a little agitated. All I want is for more people to play this project. All I want is for them to experience what it is that I am, because I think there are so many out there that have no idea about this game, no idea about this series, and they could easily get into it if they gave it a chance. No, it's not for everybody. Not every game is, but this game could capture so many people's interest if they just did something simple. All of this and my feelings could change as time goes by, of course. As they've said and mentioned in these, really the titles of everything, this is just teasers. I do hope we see more as time goes by. As I said, for those with the interest to look deeper, there is the other trailer that outlines the game much, much better. That could have been used to grip people more, I think, instead of a few snippets from the game itself that just have one of the things flailing its arms around and the little guy getting burned by a flaming sword, but what do I know? I just want more people to play this game. Come on, Gunfire. That's all I want. Okay. Now I mean it. So what is Chronos Before the Ashes? As I've said previously and several times over even in other videos, it is the prequel to Remnant. You can play it now if you really care to on Oculus VR. It's not a new game, which is showcased by the very little that we really saw of the teaser trailer with the four-armed sword flailing who's it, and that really took up most of the gameplay in the trailer as it was. Kind of a shame of it. The project that's being talked of here, however, seems to remove the VR requirement. Again, as I mentioned, it felt like a gimmick to begin with. Though Remnant has a lot of scientific or pseudoscientific relations made back to it throughout the game, Chronos will most definitely be a bit more of a fantasy experience. You still have the signature world stones that are there that act as your bonfires, very similar to other Dark Souls games, and in that system it is very much a Dark Souls game. The upgrade system operates on shards to upgrade your equipment as well, which feels very similar to Dark Souls, and your powers are very limited in scope, much like Dark Souls, where there aren't too many magical abilities, but they're all powerful just the same. But it does have some unique elements, especially one where your character will age with time as you die. Each death counts as a year. Each death counts as a skill point. This goes back to something said in the original Chronos trailer.
Get thrown back out for the deed is done. You might. But you will use that year. Grow stronger. Wiser. Till the stone wakes again.
As you grow older, you're able to spend points into the character. As you grow older, however, some things start to be more difficult to master. You may be able to originally get points easily into strength and agility when you're young, but as you age, the human body doesn't get better with age. Let's just say that and face that fact for a second. That's why your knowledge of the arcane is easier to master with time. It's an interesting system, and while I've only seen it play out, it looks pretty cool in practice. We'll have to see though once I actually get my hands in the game. As far as other story points go, however, since I know that's largely what you guys are here for, you'll be able to see the starts of everything with Remnant. You'll be able to see the beginning of everything that was Chronos, everything that began this series, this universe overall. You'll be able to kind of experience it from a different vantage point, however. This is not a gunfighter game, not at all. Everything is all about melee, and in that respect, even story-based, everything kind of revolves around you being more of a melee combatant. And funny enough, there's actually some stuff in Remnant that sort of hints back to this. So they're very much respective of where Chronos kind of comes from. You also return to an area you're kind of familiar with in Remnant already, and you can see the large tower out in the distance and everything. Yeah, you're basically going around where the atoll is. You're going to the wards, largely kind of across from Ward 13. So that's one of your little hints. And for any discerning individuals that are out there, you'll also be able to pick up on a couple of little key facets that Remnant sort of showcases, especially towards the ending days of everything. Short version, you'll be able to pick up on these key elements with time, especially as we start to kind of talk about Remnant more and more. There's also a very familiar voice in the trailer that should sound familiar to what we've already kind of discussed with Remnant, and that voice is actually telling you some stuff that you sort of already know if you've played Remnant already. If you haven't, then this is actually the best place to start. It's kind of a shame. 2 years later, a year later, and it's actually better off waiting for Chronos to come out now before kind of starting Remnant to really get the full, fresh experience. But that's okay. I really don't think it's going to matter that much considering where the story seems to be going with Remnant. As I stated, it's not as important. And lastly, this familiar voice, this older woman that sounds like she's trying to narrate everything for you, that is actually going to answer a lot of questions that you may have even at the start of Remnant. So keep all that in mind as we kind of go forward and as we get more information with everything. And if anything does happen to change with the way that this project is going, I'll be sure to kind of let you know. But I have a feeling, again, with everything shown so far, the very little bits that we have seen, this really does feel like it's just Chronos without the VR requirement. And that's very important. I think that that's going to really allow everybody to play it, because I know I'm not in this kind of alone in that boat where VR does get to my head. But anyway, I think that's actually all I have for Chronos for the moment. I do have to end with this, however. And no, it's not poking at the marketing again. I was originally going to touch base on Chronos much earlier and dredge up everything I could on the game, as I never thought I would be given the chance to play it, and this game would be lost to the annals of VR history. Obviously, that's not the case now. That changes my plans. We'll continue our look into Remnant, sans everything that involves Chronos. I will do my very best to not relate anything to it for now. I truly think that Chronos, nay the universe that it began, is worth your time and attention, and I will do everything in my power to ensure you go into it as blind as you can. Even if by the end of things with Remnant from the Ashes, you will know all there is to know. There are still certain canonical pieces that you are missing from Chronos for Remnant. They are important. They are needed. They will change the face of the Remnant you think you know. I truly cannot wait for that day to come. For December 1st to finally hit us, and for this franchise to start you on the foot that started it all. Remnant would not be here if not for Chronos. I would not be here talking about this franchise if not for Chronos. And so time ticks on, ever forward, as it always does. Death is not the end. As always, I'll keep this short. If you can help with those fancy YouTube buttons, I'd appreciate it, as they help out this channel so very much, especially with me just starting out again. They keep me going and keep me here. A special thank you to Gunfire Games for also liking my tweets on our recent projects here on the channel. That small gesture goes a long, long way for someone that just wants to share their care for games or really any other medium. To all of you, no matter when or where you are, I'll see you next space time. Take care.